Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ku. I'm your host for today. Welcome to the first event of the Back to Work Readiness series on Back to Work apps powered by Zoho Creator. Let me orientate you on this virtual space. May I first introduce Pratik. Pratik is our solutions expert and a dynamic professional with 3 years of experience as a product marketer. He has a drive to understand the depth of the customer's business thoroughly and is also part of the Zoho Creators Solutions team, which drives enticing content and lead generation initiatives. Next, I would like to introduce you to Heyman. Heyman is our partner solutions and training manager. He has been an experienced technical support engineer since 2016 and has built numerous proof of concepts for many companies across the globe and helped them with their implementations with best practices consultation. He is also part of the developers relations teams and also take care of training and onboarding of partners. He is also very active in the Zoho community meetups. Next, we have Bharat. Is a head customer experience for Zoho Creator. He leads the marketing initiatives of Zoho Creator and has more than 12 years of professional work experience with expertise in the areas of marketing communications, brand management, and content marketing across verticals like IT, telecom, and banking, financial services, and insurance. His team plays the key role of taking the brand Zoho Creator to enterprises and help them kickstart their journey of a quick and scalable technological transformation. So let us invite our first speaker, Pratik, to start his presentation. Over to you, Pratik.
Sure. So I'll just get started with what I had covered so far. So in today's session, we'll be talking about how you can future-proof your workplace with Zoho Back-to-Work and what the future is looking like for most of the small businesses and enterprises. Well, in today's session, we'll talk a little bit about the current COVID situation in the APAC market and how things are emerging from the lockdown. Also, we'll quickly touch upon the recommendations for safe operations and followed by how businesses can tailor their processes to get back to normalcy. And lastly, we'll also touch upon how technology is acting as an enabler, followed by a quick demo of Zoho Back to Work. Well, as you can see in the chart here, the situation in the current market in APAC in specific has been changing every day, and the number of COVID cases has been on a constant rise. While a few countries have seen, good recovery rates, there are still many countries who are in this pandemic situation with a lot of active cases currently. So I came across this image in one of the articles wherein they said our lives have changed forever. Well, it is definitely true because if you imagine most of us, probably in January, February timeframe, we never imagined, attending meetings wearing a mask. So while the situation is pretty crucial, painful, and disruptive, it is also a transitioning period for most of the small enterprises and businesses out there, even large enterprises for that matter. So we are in a different world, definitely. And while meetings have all been virtual, and back then it was a dream to have a virtual meeting, now it is a norm to have a virtual meeting. So basically, when all the situation evolves, we ask ourselves, are we really ready to get back to our workplace? Well, it boils down to the mindset that we have. Like, are we going to take a fear approach, or are we taking an opportunity approach, wherein do we want to be very protective and want to cut down on our costs, lay off employees, or do we want to look at the opportunity of how we can diversify and innovate with the latest technology and start adapting to the new normal? So in today's session, like before we proceed, I would like to get a feel of where most businesses are in the current new normal. So basically, are you still shut down, or have you reopened and trying to stabilize, or are you in the growth phase after reopening? So I see a few responses coming from our attendees, and I'll give a few more seconds And I see there is a good split. Most of the, in fact, there are zero responses for people who say we are shut down. So that's a good sign that most of the businesses have opened. And I can see almost a 50-50 split between the number of people who have stabilized and are in the growth phase. So I'll just show the results in a second. Once again, thanks for participating in the poll. I hope you all can see the results. And I can see there are a couple of votes on businesses and workplaces who are still shut down completely. Yes. So moving on, while we get back to work, what are businesses really looking at? Essentially, the way I look at it, there are two things. One is business activity, that is continuity of what we were doing. Second is empowering employees. So when I say empowering employees, it's more to do with uh, how I, as a business, am taking care of my employees' wellness, both mentally and even ensuring that their safety, is taken care of. So as we proceed with the presentation, I would like to quickly take a step back and observe each of the functions in most of the enterprises and small businesses, wherein how various functions and departments have been sort of affected through this pandemic. Firstly, we have these customer-facing roles like marketing, sales, and support teams, wherein the new normal for them is, the way they used to operate back then is not prevalent anymore. For example, if you talk about marketing, the channels that we used to use back then do not work right now, and probably marketing budgets have also been slashed to zero, or very minimal budgets that have been approved by most businesses. So, and another important question, for example, in a luxury industry, most of the brands are trying to think, where is my brand loyalty that I had built for over the decades? Like, there is a lot of marketing spends, branding activity that happens, but all of that has gone for a toss. So those are some of the things that marketing teams have been impacted like. So with sales teams, it's very difficult for them to even crack a few meetings face to face, because obviously the movement have been restricted, and all meetings have been shifted to virtual. And support, while it's a very critical function in any business to go the extra mile and take care of your customers to give them a very good experience after sales, uh, even that has been affected, because everything is moving to a virtual platform. Moving on, the other departments like HR, like one of the major things that HR departments and professionals are talking about are mental and physical health of employees. Like, should we look at new KPIs, or do we still stick to the old KPIs? So that's a debate that keeps going on, and it is a very valid topic which people are covering, especially because everyone is working from home. People are trying to juggle between their office work, their household stuff. So those are some of the challenges. And also, from a finance point of view, top line and bottom line revenues have been affected. And if I were to talk about IT, definitely, for me, when I was back in office, if I had to get a mouse or a keyboard replaced, I would just have to walk up to my IT guy and just get it replaced almost instantaneously. But now, in this virtual scenario, it's much more difficult, for me to even raise any kind of request and get that sorted. And the last few functions that I wanted to talk about was operations and the management side of things. So we all are aware that logistics as a function has been disrupted, mainly because initially it was shut down for a bit, and then businesses were trying to adapt to new guidelines laid down by the government organizations, and whatever internal policies that they had to adapt to. So in that case, logistics and projects have somewhere, a few projects would have accelerated, specifically in the IT sides, but a few projects, when you talk about construction or some other kind of labor intensive operations, those would have taken a backseat because of the pandemic. And most of these strategies and SWOT analysis, for example, if organizations would have conducted any you know, surveys or any kind of strategy meets, whatever was prevalent and sort of relevant back in January, February might not be relevant right now. So things have been impacted across functions and departments. So as we move through the presentation, I just have one more quick poll for the audience, and I would encourage everyone to please participate. Uh, I want to understand what's the number one biggest challenge you foresee while reopening. Is it employee safety? Is it, following regulations by the government, or is it communication across your organization? So I think most of us agree that employee safety is a number one concern, and I see a good majority there. I'll still give it a few more seconds while you answer that. Thanks for the responses, guys. I see employee safety is a clear winner, and I definitely agree with most. All the three things are definitely important, but employee safety comes first. So while organizations need to move gradually, uh, just one second. I think have I shared the results with you guys? Okay, one second. Yeah, you have the results to view for yourselves. Yeah. So as organizations need to move gradually, they have to also take great care of their employees and how things are going to move forward. So for this, a lot of government bodies, labor organizations, and occupational safety and health administrations, they have given a lot of newsletters, articles, and I see a lot of webinars that are conducted to communicate what are the recommendations from their side for safe operations. And a few of them include having PPE, the personal protective gear, for all employees, educating them on what are the best practices, following social distancing. So these are the things that businesses need to keep in mind while resuming their operations. And also, there are certain travel policies and certain important aspects related to if you have come across or in contact with a certain COVID affected person, you need to take special care and probably self isolate yourself, self quarantine yourself. So there are guidelines definitely laid down, and a lot of these recommendations must be followed, and mainly for the safety of the employees. And we also understand businesses want to be agile. They have a vision, they have their own strategies, and a lot of businesses wanted to sell certain types of products back then, which might not be, due to manufacturing challenges or due to the supply chain disruptions, they might not be able to reach their target customers. So these are some of the challenges that we at Zoho understand, and we are trying to enable businesses through technology to help them get back to normal operations. So, what are the things that you, as a business owner or an SME or probably even a startup, need to take care of? First and foremost is employee safety. Second is the compliance and guidelines laid down by the government, and effective communication. It goes without saying. If there is any kind of an update or any kind of internal volunteering drives that you want to conduct in your organization, certain things will have to be communicated. And there are instances where, for example, if there is a huge organization with multiple buildings, they might want to communicate that one building is shut down for maintenance. So those kind of small things have to be communicated internally among employees. So how do you do that? To do all of that, you need a software in place. And while I get into that in a bit, uh, we need to really answer a few questions and ask ourselves, how are we making these decisions, and how are we really going to work through the whole process of getting back to normal operations? So while software is one thing, most businesses today need a framework for safe operations. And digital transformation is on an overdrive right now, and businesses are definitely changing. So we need to find new ways of doing. Uh, just one second. We need to find new ways of doing what we did, and probably even pivot, as a business altogether in certain cases. So how can technology act as an enabler for businesses today? Well, as most of you are aware, that contactless entry and safe entry is one of the major things that people are talking about these days. Technology can act as an enabler here, wherein probably you as an employee can get your temperature checked at the front counter, and have these barcode scanners for safe entry, and followed by certain wellness questionnaires. Like most technology companies have built these apps, including Zoho, where you can understand the wellness score of an employee. And we'll cover all of that in a bit in the upcoming demo by Hemant, who will be the next speaker. So here, most businesses will have to take certain steps and even adapt to new technologies, and install these apps across, and encourage their employees to use them to ensure safe operations. So, well, I would like to announce that early next month, which will be the first week of August, we are going to launch Zoho Back-to-Work. And in today's session, we'll also see a quick overview of what Zoho Back-to-Work is all about, and how this application is going to help businesses. So we'll see a demo in the upcoming session. And here's a quick overview of the modules that will be covered. Uh, Firstly, there is a wellness module. This is more to do with the safety and wellness of the employees, wherein we ask questions to understand if a particular employee is affected, or have they traveled in the past, or probably have they come across or in contact with any COVID infected person. So all these things are important from a wellness point of view. Also, moving on, the safe entry module. So this talks about, this module is all about helping businesses ensure that uh, employees enter safely, and in a, there should be certain processes that should be followed for businesses to, ensure safety of their employees with applications. So we'll see that in the demo in a bit. While innovation, uh, forced innovation is still innovation, and yeah, this is the quote that I would like to leave you all with. And moving on, I would like to pass it to Hemant. And if you have any questions from your side, please feel free to use the questions or the chat window here on the left, and we will answer them. Yes, Hemant, over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pratik, for that. And let's get started with product demo of Zoho Back-to-Work. So I'll be starting to share my screen now. Hope everyone's able to see the screen and also able to hear me all right. So as Pratik mentioned in the previous session, the current situation has forced us to move into a new form or a new way of how we get back to the workplace. Right? So even if it's the same old workplace that we're getting into, the situation is completely new to everyone. So from Zoho, we wanted to help you with that transition. And we have come up with a new product called Zoho Back-to-Work. It's an application that we built on top of Zoho Creator. And this provides you with a lot of options to maintain a safe environment so that all your employees can return to your workplace post the pandemic condition. So in this demo, we'll be looking at the different modules available. To be specific, we have 11 different modules available on Zoho Back-to-Work to help you with this transition. Right, starting from the admin home, there's workplace setup, wellness setup that we spoke about. There's approvals, assets, employee setup, volunteer setup, and two of the major modules here, the communication setup and the employee and the visitor safe entry setup. And apart from that, we have a couple more modules like assets and maintenance, how these requests are being raised, how these are being maintained. Everything is done within the Zoho Back-to-Work app. And in our session, we'll be looking at the application as well. So before that, we will start off with the first module, the admin home. So when an admin logs into the application, so when we look at the admin home, so this is like a one-stop place for the administrator to maintain all the different options available within the organization setup. So quickly, we'll jump into the product itself. So this is Zoho Back-to-Work. So, and we've logged into the admin home as an administrator login. So the profile that I maintain right now is an administrator. So this is the first screen that you get to see. So in the initial part, when you download Zoho Back-to-Work onto your account, it'll ask you for your company information. So I've given the company name here, and me being the admin, only I'll have the option in case I want to change the company name, I can come and set it up here. So apart from that, to the left, we have like all the modules available, and we have like the home dashboard in which we have quick access to all the setup and all the policies for our organization. So we'll be looking into each and every module as I go. So once the admin logs in, the first step that he has to do is the workplace setup. So this is going to help you maintain or manage information about your office facilities, right? So we'll go into workplace setup. And as you can see, it's pretty straightforward here. So if your organization has multiple branches, Zoho Back-to-Work is going to help you manage all these branches right from a single application. And we can allow all your employees logging in, no matter which branch they're from. And to make it a little more granular and to make it a little more easier for you to maintain, we've also added building options as well. So for example, in a particular branch, if you have more than one building, and if you want to maintain them separately, you have the option to do so as well. So what we'll do is we'll try to add a new building, because there's a few setup processes that needs to be done for each and every workplace or each and every building that we're adding. So here's buildings. We clicked on add a new building. It'll ask us for a building name. So let's say branch one, I'll say this is the third one. And the third option that will ask us is the building status, if the building is open or closed, right? So let's say we have opened a particular building and the operations are going properly, everything is good. Worst case scenario, something happens and we are forced to close down a particular section of the building or close down the building entirely, and all the processes in the backend related to that particular building. So you just have to come to this place and change the status from open to closed, and all the operations will be automatically stopped for this particular building. So it's pretty simple in case you want to shut down operations of a particular building. So apart from the building status, you also have the option to specify the maximum number of employees allowed in that particular building, right? So this will help us maintain the track of employees coming in and going out, so we can have like the desired amount of people inside the workplace. Apart from our own employees, we can also specify the visitors coming in, be it the customers, clients, the partners, or the vendors coming in. We can also maintain a count of how many people are allowed at that particular point of time. So at any given point of time, an administrator will have the count of the number of people inside your workplace or inside the building or inside your entire organization itself. So the next part related to the security would be, how do we handle the safe entry of it? So we've given you a couple of options here. So one, first and foremost, you have like a front desk staff or a branch manager or an admin person at your gate letting people in. So they can handle the entry and exit of people. So they check in and check out people manually. So this will require one person. If this is the norm in your organization, we can go about with this process. So let's say we want to make it a little more automated there. So we have added the kiosk setup as well. So you can select the kiosk setup. So the employees will have a QR code generated each and every time they raise a request. So we'll be seeing an example of that as well. So in case we want to go about that route, you can place a mobile phone or a tablet at the entrance of your building, and employees coming in, they can just show the QR code, it will automatically scan and check in that particular employee. So we can make it completely automated as well. And when we choose kiosk, as you can see, it will ask you for the kiosk email. So for the kiosk, we'll download the Zoho Back-To-Work application and we'll have an account logged in. So we just have to specify that particular login here. And the same applies for the visitor safe entry as well. So if you want to do it separately for employees and visitors, you can choose different options here. If not, you can choose the same for both and add it there. So this is the workplace setup, the initial setup that would be required by the admin to do for the entire application to progress. The next module. So here's, as I mentioned, one important module that we are looking at, a wellness setup. So we've configured a few parameters to help you maintain your own wellness policy. And we have 3 different sections to help you do that. So one, a self-assessment policy, a safe entry policy, and a travel policy as well. So we'll look in detail on what these actually mean. A self-assessment policy. So when Pratik was running through his slides in his session, he explained about a self-assessment form that employees would be required to fill in. So this gives the employees their own responsibility for them to fill up a particular section of it, and gives the organization transparency on what exactly is happening with that employee. So with the self-assessment policy, you can maintain or set the date for the assessment to happen, and also the periodicity in which the self-assessment needs to happen for every employee. The second one, safe entry policy. So when your employees are trying to get back to the workplace, how do you want to maintain it? There are different parameters that you want your employees to fulfill for them to be even eligible for coming back to the workplace. You can set those up. Travel policy. Let's say your employee has a travel history. You want to maintain that and make sure that he is completely safe to come back to the workplace. You can do so on the wellness policy here as well. So, I'm sorry. So let's go into the wellness setup. So here we have that. We go in, and so starting off, it'll ask you for the effective date. You can specify. So if you have planned to open up the organization or your company on a specific date, you can specify that. And then you can specify the self-assessment frequency for all your employees. How often do you want your employees to fill up the assessment, self-assessment form? How often do you want them to fill up? So you can specify that. You can make it a weekly process, a bi-weekly process, maybe once in 15 days, once in 3 days, or daily as well. The frequency can be modified here according to our needs. So apart from that, the first one would be the safe entry policy. So when they're trying to enter your organization, to enter the workplace, what are the parameters that you want to check before you allow them to raise a request? Do you want to mandate the self-assessment submission? This is for sure suggested from our end as well. You make it mandatory. So each and every time an employee is trying to check into your organization, check into the workplace, he has to fill up the self-assessment form so that we get some transparency about that particular employee or what's happening with them as well. So apart from that, what would be the frequency you want to be associated with the check-in, right? So let's say I've raised a request for 5 days. So do you want me to fill up the self-assessment form just once for those 5 days? Or do you want me to do it on each day? every time I try to come into the workplace, do you want me to fill in? Do you want us to be pretty careful on that? We can choose that option as well. So you can either say on each day of entry or on self-assessment frequency, which would be this, which would apply for the entire organization. Be it working from home or be it trying to come to the office, this self-assessment frequency would apply. The next one is the transport to restrict. So let's say the employees or the visitors trying to come back to the workplace, if they're coming in public transport or if they're carpooling with another person, do you want to restrict those requests? So let's say I want them to make their own private arrangements to come back to the workplace. So I can check both these options. So in case they're opting for a public transport or carpooling with their colleagues, we can automatically reject these requests, or we can have them open and have them raise the request, and we can analyze them and approve those requests or reject them. So the next 2 pointers. So if you can see how many weeks after recovery from COVID-19 can an employee raise a request for a safe entry. So let's say, unfortunately, someone's been tested positive with COVID-19. How many weeks of recovery do you suggest them? From a company or an organization perspective, how long do you want them to stay at home before you allow them to raise this particular request? The second one is the minimum wellness factor, which is required for them to raise a safe entry request. So we have a wellness calculation which happens in the backend for Zoho Back-To-Work. So we'll have a look at that before we look at specifying a criteria. So a wellness score. So this ranges from -20 to +20. And the admins will have the option to limit employees and visitors to be automatically rejected based on the scores or based on the transport option that they choose, as we saw. And apart from that, the admins can also specify the number of weeks after an employee's recovery date, the number of weeks as we specify on this screen. So what happens in the backend for these calculations? What are the factors or the criteria involved in this particular calculation, right? So for example, if you're with children or elders at home, you have a -1 or a +1 scoring if you choose yes or no. If you visited the hospital in the past 15 days, if it's a yes, you get a -3 there. If it's no, you get a +3 there. So apart from that, have you been living in the COVID-19 hotspot? Or have you been in contact with a COVID-19 positive person in the last 15 days? So as you can see, or have you seen any symptoms present in the past 15 days? So these are a few criteria that we have encoded in the backend for the calculation to happen. So apart from those specified criteria, in case the employee is tested positive, how long do we wait, or what is the scoring that we give before he or we assign that he's completely recovered? So based on the days, he has a particular scoring that he gets. So let's say it's been 14 days since he's recovered, he gets a -3. 21 days, he gets -2. 35 days, it's a 0 score there. 42 days, he gets +1. And if he's tested negative, he gets a direct +5 there. So based on all these calculations, each and every employee will be assigned a wellness score, and we can run the entire processes based on that particular wellness score. So these are precautionary measures that an organization can take to make sure that individual employees are safe, and also when they come back to the workplace, we can also make sure that the entire workplace is safe for the other employees as well. So apart from the wellness score, you can also specify the travel policy. So moving forward, the travel policy is going to be a little more stringent. So you can specify, do you want to restrict the entry requests for employees and visitors who travel recently? So if you, let's say I'm an employee, I've traveled in the past 15 days or 20 days, do you want to restrict my entry? Yes or no, that can be specified. Or set the number of weeks for which you want to restrict entry requests. So after I've traveled, how many weeks do you want me to wait before I can raise a request to come back to the workplace? This also can be specified by the admin itself. So these are the wellness setup or the options available on the wellness setup for the employees to give like a certain set of rules or restrictions for us to maintain that safe workplace environment. So apart from the wellness setup, we'll have to look at the approval setup of it. So the admin can specify based on each and every request that's coming in from the application, how do you want to maintain that? So first and foremost would be the safe entry request. How employees and visitors safe entry approval process needs to happen. Or let's say they're inside the workplace, they want to raise an asset request. How do you want to maintain that particular asset request? Or let's say there's a maintenance request. So first, the workplace hygiene is something that we have to look into a little more moving forward to make sure it's pretty safe. So the maintenance request, when an employee raises a maintenance request, how do you want the maintenance staff to handle that particular maintenance request? So all these can be configured in the approval setup process. So going here, we have quick link, and under that you have approval setup. And one thing about all these models that we're going through, in case you get stuck or you want to understand more about these approval setups, you always have the help button available on each and every module. So clicking on that will give you a quick write-up or a brief description about what these modules mean or what these modules can help you do of the current module. So you can even use those in case you get lost somewhere. So the approval setup process. So first, the safe entry. We want to enable approval for employees, yes, or for visitors, or do you want to reject the safe entry request for now, or probably have it moved sometime later? You can maintain that there. The asset request of it. So someone raises a request. Do you want to enable an approval system, or should the asset request be automatically approved? And once the asset request is approved, how do you want it to be handled, right? So do you want the employees to come and pick it up themselves? We can assign self pickup, or the branch admin, if you want them to assign it to a particular person and they deliver it, do you want to do that? That can be maintained here. And the same goes for the maintenance request as well. So let's say someone says a particular workplace has to be like cleaned or swept. How do you want it? How do you want the maintenance staff to handle it? Do you want them to automatically pick it up, or do you want like a branch admin assigning these requests to different maintenance staff? And after the maintenance task is done, do you want another employee to audit it to make sure that the maintenance work was done properly? Because this, again, as I said, maintains the hygiene of the workplace environment. So you can even take that extra step of adding an auditor to go and check that maintenance task. So you can even add that option and enable that audit for the approval process. So apart from that, we have asset setup, the different assets available, and we have volunteer setup as well. So before the volunteer setup, we'll quickly look at the asset setup. Assets, what are the different assets available for your employees to raise a request for? So have like chargers, face masks, monitors, sanitizers, infrared thermometers, and all that. And how do you want these requests to be raised? Is it like new requests, refills, broken? Based on the assets that you add, you can also specify the request type of it. So all these setup that we're doing right now, I'll show you how these work for a particular employee. So we'll be logging into an employee's profile, and I'll show you how all these come into place. So that's asset setup. You can set up different assets and different request types available. And apart from that, the volunteer program. Let's say from the organization level, we want to help people within the organization or our own community as well. So to make it a little more streamlined, so that the company can take control of the volunteer programs as well, just to make sure we are working on the same path here, both the employees and the organization. So you can have it added under the volunteer setup here. So you can add like different events which are available that your employees can participate in. So for example, let's say I'm trying to raise an event. Let's say we are trying to distribute face masks around our company or within the organization. We say, and we specify how many volunteers we need. So let's say I just need 5 people. When do we need them from? We specify a date, and we can also specify if this particular program that we're raising should be available in specific branches. So currently we have 3 branches. If we want, we can remove those and it will be available only to those branches. Or you can say, I need it available on all the branches, so I want everyone to participate from. So we specify that and add that particular request here. And these will be displayed to the employees, and the employees can opt in and opt out in case they want to participate in this volunteer program. And the admin also gets to see the past events in case we have an event is closed down. If you want some stats around it, you can go to past events and get that as well. So the next one is communication setup. So this will play a major role in keeping our employees notified or informed about the happenings around us or the best practices, the new policies coming into the workplace, or safety documents that we want all our employees to have access to. So we have built a communication setup here. So the admin can go and set it up here. So if you have like different announcements that you want to send to your employees, you can specify announcements here. Let's say social distancing. We give information, and when you're making an announcement, you can also make it branch specific as well. So branch specific announcements also can be made. And when employees are being added to that particular branch, they only get to see the announcement made for their branches. Or if this is a common announcement that you're doing across your organization, you can just do all branches, add them, and that particular announcement right now will be added to everyone. So as you can see, one announcement that I made, the health checkup one, was just for branch one, and the social distancing one that I just added now is applicable to all the branches within the organization. So apart from announcements, are there any best practices that you want to suggest to your employees? Again, you can specify a title, give a small description, and we also have the option of uploading files that they can download and read and get or get them notified about these information. Again, this also can be made available to a particular branch or for the entire organization itself. And what are the current policies within the organizations? So is there like an IT policy? And if you can see the policies, you can also specify if it's like for a particular organization, or I mean a particular branch, or for the entire organization itself. And safety documents, you can give a title, description, again, the file that file option that's available. This will give access to all the information that you want your employees to have. So key part that organizations have to do moving forward is keeping the employees notified about all the best practices, the happenings around us, or if there's policy changes, we want them to take up some responsibility and maintain a particular standard or a procedure. We can notify them directly from this setup. And we always have the FAQ setup as well. So if we have like frequently asked questions by our employees. We can collate them, put it under one section, so all the employees get access to that. So in case we have the same question, they can just go through this instead of coming back to the admin asking them for an answer. So this will be pretty easy for the admin or the entire organization to maintain the communication company-wide or based on the branches. And now comes the major part of Zoho Back-to-Work. So let's say the admin has set up all the policies, all the approval systems, all the requests, everything is done right now. So the next step would be to start adding employees from your organization into the application itself and also giving them access to the application. So the admin can do that under employee setup. So employee setup, and going here, if you can see, you can add all your employees, their emails, and also specify the role as well. So let's try adding a new employee. So the required information would be first the employee ID, his name, first name and last name, email, their phone number. In case they have an extension, we can use that as well. And which branch they are a part of, that needs to be specified as well. Apart from the branch, what role are they taking in? So I'll just move this a bit. Right. So are they like employees? Are they staffs, approvers, branch managers, or are they admins of the organization? What role they play? So if we choose employees, as you can see, we just can specify if they're eligible to raise a safe entry request, if you want to mark them, if they're like important people within the organization or like admin people, if you want to mark them as emergency contact, you can do that as well. And the different roles. So when we go into staffs, you can see that there's another field that pops up. It will ask you for the staff type. What staff are they? So are they like maintenance staff or service agents, or are they front desk staff, the people in the front desk to do the check-in and check-out to maintain the front desk? So are they front desk staff? So let's say they're not staffs, they're approvers. What approvers are they? So are they employee entry approvers? So these are these different approval processes that we have within Back-to-Work. So as you can see, the profiling, the role that we apply to all the employees, we have granularity in it. You can specify exactly what that particular employee's role is in this particular organization. So an approver, there are like 4 different types of approver. You can make sure that particular employee is added to the right one. And similarly, branch manager, you can directly add them, and admin, you can directly add them as well. So each and every employee will have an employee ID, name, email, their role, and if they're eligible to raise a safe entry or not, and which branch they're from. So apart from adding the employees manually, we also have given you the option of importing your employees directly from existing databases. So let's say you have like a spreadsheet or a CSV or a TSV file of all your employees, you can directly import them here. And we also have an inbuilt integration available with Zoho Directory. So in case you're using Zoho Directory, we can directly import all the employee lists from Zoho Directory over to Zoho Back-to-Work. So we have that default integration going on. And moving forward, we have plans of integrating with other HRMS systems as well. So like Zoho People and all that, we're working on those integrations and should be available. So this is the initial employee setup. And whenever you add an employee, so when a particular employee is added in this employee setup screen, an automated email with an invite for Zoho Back-to-Work based on the profile that they've chosen for will be sent to the employee. So if Roger, I've added Roger as an employee here, so Roger would have received an email stating that he's been added as an employee in Zoho Back-to-Work by the organization's admin, and he can directly use the email itself to sign up for Zoho Back-to-Work and automatically log into the organization setup. So everything is done automatically, and he just needs to log in directly from the email itself. After we add all the employees, what would be the first and foremost thing, or what are the options available for these employees, right? So the first thing is to enable safe entry. So employee and visitor safe entry, how do we enable it? And different approvals and different check-ins available. So for that particular purpose, what we'll do is we'll log into another account in which I've logged in as an employee. So as you can see, we'll just go to the employee setup here. I'm logging into Roger Business account as an employee. And this is the employee screen that he gets to see when he logs in. So as you can see, the home dashboard itself will be completely different, right? And the different modules that he can use, the contacts, all that will come into place. So the first thing that he gets to see when he logs into the application would be the self-assessment form, right? So if you remember, when we initiated the organization or that branch, we had a place where we can specify what would be the frequency in which they have to submit their self-assessment, right? So based on that, it will send us a notification stating you have to fill in the self-assessment, and that can be done directly from here. So clicking on self-assessment, it will take us to the self-assessment page. So here are a few questions that we ask, and if you can look at the questions clearly, these are the questions that are required for the wellness calculation to happen. So these are the criteria that we used in the wellness calculation. So like, have you ever been tested positive or for COVID-19? You can say yes or no. And based on each and every answer I give, there's a calculation which happens in the backend to generate a wellness score for myself. So have I been in contact with anyone who's been tested COVID-19 positive? The last 15 days, yes, no. So the employees will be allowed or will be required to take the self-assessment form and submit it. So this gives the organization some clarity on that particular employee as well. So this will be the current self-assessment that I've done, and I can go back and look at all the other self-assessments that I've done as well. Right? So I'm done with the self-assessment part, and as you can see, all the notification goes off. So it will clearly say you've submitted it, and even the tab, if you notice, it will clearly say it's been done, and it doesn't ask you to do it again. So once the self-assessment is done, as an employee, I want to raise a self-assessment request, and how do I do so? So here's the the safe entry tab. You click on that, and it'll show you all the requests that I've raised previously, and will also give me the option to raise a new one as well. So I have raised the previous one for the current date. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and raise one for another date. So and this question, if you look at it closely, this is one thing that we specified in the policy setup itself. If I'm taking public transport or I'm carpooling with someone else, the request that I'm currently raising will be automatically rejected. So that's what we've set up in the employee part. So let's say I'm taking private, I specify a date, I'm saying tomorrow, and it will give us a small note saying it has to be done. You're required to fill the self-assessment form on each entry, and I can submit it. So this will automatically go through the approval process that we set up for the safe entry. And once it's approved, I'll have this approved and I can use this. So for the current date, this is the request for 27th and 28th of July. And I've specified that I'm taking my own transportation, a private transportation, to come back to the workplace. So they've approved my request. And as you can see, only that particular request has a QR code, and this is date specific as well. So as you can see, this one's approved, but you can see that the date is 30 to 31st. So the QR code option will not appear for that request. So in this request, since we have a kiosk setup for branch one setup, it will automatically generate QR codes, and this QR code can be directly used when they are trying to come into the organization. So what we'll do is quickly look at the mobile application as well, how this mobile application will look like when we are logging in. So this is one setup that I have for the employee login on my iPhone. And going in, this is Zoho Back-To-Work application, right? So as you can see, the home dashboard is completely realigned, automatically arranged to give you that native experience even when you're logging from your mobile application, right? So there's self-assessments, all the tabs that were available on the web will be available here. And clicking on the stack option here, it will give you other options as well. Right. So let's finish up the safe entry part. So going into safe entry, so there's the request that I raised here, and clicking on the option, you can see an option which says show QR code. So this will help me. So when I'm coming into the workplace, I just have to have this open. It will generate the QR code, and I just can show it in the kiosk and just log in. So I also have a kiosk setup logged in as well on my Android device. So I'll just go into Zoho Back-To-Work. So as you can see, it'll have the QR scanning part opened by default. So I'm just going into the QR that I opened up in my other device. So as you can see, it'll automatically, so I previously checked in before the session started. So it'll automatically check me out, and it'll automatically go back to the screen where the next employee can check him or herself in. So easy contactless options available for people to automatically check in or check out based on their requests. So apart from these, we can also look at the different communication options. So as you can see, there's a safe entry that you can directly raise from the mobile device itself, or you can do it from the web version. Either way, it will work, or the approval process would be the same. And the safe entry for a visitor. In case you have a visitor coming in, you can raise a safe entry request again from the mobile or from the web version as well. So here you'll have visitor safe entry request. So in case I have like clients coming in to visit, I can have a separate form to raise those requests as well. So apart from that, you can raise asset requests, different assets that are available, different statuses, different types. You can raise it accordingly, and the maintenance request as well. So what happens when a maintenance request is done? So I guess I'll have, well, I've been logged in as a maintenance employee as well. I quickly swap screens to show how it will look for a maintenance staff. So again, him being an employee coming into the workplace, the self-assessment policy applies to the maintenance staff as well. So they'll be required to finish up their self-assessment. Again, the QR code options will be generated for them. They can use it on the mobile device as well. So when they log in, they'll have an extra section for the maintenance requests that are being raised by the employees. So in the initial setup, we had mentioned that the maintenance request should be automatically picked up or manually picked up by the maintenance staff themselves. So I have a pickup option. So in case I want to pick that up, I pick that up, and I go and I can start working on my task. And the announcements. So this, I'm back to Roger Biss, the actual employee. So the announcements that are being made, I can look at the different announcements, the best practices that are suggested. I can look at the best practices, different policies available. I can go, I'll have detailed information about the policies. If I have safety documents, I can go in. The safety documents will be available. I can download those safety documents and FAQs as well. So all these that we set up in the admin setup will be available for the employees. Right. So apart from these, the self-assessments that is done, and the travel history can be specified by each and every employee as well. So in case I specify that I've traveled somewhere, I can clearly tell the organization or the admins that I've traveled to so-and-so place on so-and-so day. So another major option or another important option that's available on Zoho Back-to-Work is to track the gatherings that happen within your workplace. So let's say an employee is allowed into the organization. So once he's inside the organization, he might move around the workplace. He might meet other employees to coordinate with them. You might have like internal meetings happening. So each and every employee will be required to specify that as well. So let's say today I've had a meeting with a couple of people from the organization. I specify it here. So worst case scenario, something happens to a particular employee who's been in the workplace. We can backtrack the people that he's been in contact with. So if every employee mentions the gatherings, the people that they're meeting inside the app, it will be easy for the admin to identify the people who've been in contact with an employee who's been tested positive or has symptoms, and take precautionary measures for their other employees who they've been in contact with. And this will also apply for the other people. Let's say the visitors coming in, if they have been in contact, we can also make sure we notify them to so that they can take enough precautionary measures as well. So as you can see, all the setup processes that we did in the initial part from the admin login, this is how it plays for the employees or the maintenance staff or the approvers. They'll have their own login with their own materials and their own modules available to peacefully work in the workplace. So apart from the employee setup, if you can see, the admin will also have a dashboard section. In the dashboard section, you have a wellness dashboard based on the assessments that are being done by employees in each and every branch. There'll be scores, and the average score would be taken for each and every branch, and you can have like one place top to identify all these, the past assessments that have been done, and like a small scale to help you out with the assessment. The safe entries happening within the organization. So there's like 3 branches, how many employees are coming in, how many visitors are coming in, everything can be captured here. And different branches also can be looked at from the same place itself. Branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, I haven't added any buildings. Branch 1, there's like 3 buildings. Everything can be seen from here. Similarly, the asset request, the maintenance request, and the volunteer programs as well. How many volunteer programs have been raised, how many people have opted for it, how many programs are happening today. So the admin setup will give you like a complete overview of what exactly is happening within your workplace. And that's the best place an admin would want to be in this current situation, or even moving forward as this becomes the norm as well. So that's the admin setup, that's the employee setup. We also looked at the mobile setup as well. So with that, we've covered the Zoho Back-to-Work application. And as you would have noticed when I showed you the mobile access both on iOS and Android, so Zoho Back-to-Work is available on iOS and Android. So you can download the application from the App Store or the Google Play Store respectively, and ask your employees to log into that as well. And please do note that the mobile application is available after the admin does all the initial configuration, the policies, the setup process. That needs to be done from the web version on the admin setup. And after all that is done, you can log into the mobile apps and start using Zoho Back-to-Work as well. And with that, we've come to an end of the demo session planned for Zoho Back-to-Work. And hopefully I've given enough information about Back-to-Work. And even in case you have any further questions, please feel free to drop your questions on the section to your left. We'll be more than happy to help you out with those questions as well. And with that, I'll hand over this session to our next presenter, Bharat from our team.
Thank you, Hemant. That was very comprehensive. Every time I look at your demo, I learn a couple of things new. So Thanks for that. Let me quickly share my presentation deck. Yeah, before I start, there are certain things that are running in my mind as I begin. Right, we are working from home. So what if someone knocks, someone rings the doorbell? What if the Wi-Fi gets disconnected? There are so many things that are running in the mind, and you still want to give your best and add value to the audience, right? The same thing, I'm sure you, the audience, you would have had multiple commitments. You would have rescheduled your meeting. You would have changed your plans to spend 2 hours with us here. So I would first like to start this discussion by saying a sincere thanks to all of you for taking your time out and joining us here. I am Bharat. I handle marketing and customer experience for a product of Zoho called Zoho Creator. I will try my best to add value to you over the next 30 minutes. So, what is Zoho Creator? What is that we do? In a nutshell, what we offer is enabling organizations empowering their digital transformation initiatives through this low-code platform called Zoho Creator. Don't worry if you feel there are a lot of jargons. I will demystify them as we go. First, and a very important note, how is this connected? I mean, Hemant presented a detailed demo of Back-to-Work application, right? How is it connected to Creator? Simple. The complete Back-to-Work application has been built on this platform called Zoho Creator. So Zoho Creator itself is an application development platform on top of which you can build any application that you need, from a simple vendor management solution to a complex ERP sort of a requirement. And Back-to-Work is one such application that has been built on top of Zoho Creator. As an end user, you will not be exposed to any platform features, or you don't have to worry about anything. It's a ready to use, just click and install sort of an application which Hemant demoed to you. Now, back to work is one requirement that you may have. In your organization, there could be multiple requirements, right? As a part of your overall improving your efficiency, you would be needing multiple IT solutions, which is where Zoho Creator will come in. So this will be my agenda for the day. I would take you through what is this low code and how it supports digital transformation. And then how Zoho Creator, what are the capabilities slash features that help in the digital transformation of organizations. Finally, with a couple of examples, case studies of how our customers use our solution. So this is a common joke slash meme that is running in the internet now, right? Who led to your digital transformation initiative in your organization? Is it the CEO? Is he CIO, or is it COVID-19? Right, COVID-19 has forced us to adopt technology, transform digitally, and I mean, like Pratik presented, right? Even a forced transformation is a transformation. So now, what exactly does this mean? First, let's break this word digital transformation. Very simply put, what is digital transformation? You as an organization will have multiple processes. Are there ways to improve the steps in the process, in each of the process, through digital tools? This thinking is all that is defined as digital transformation, right? Now in this, it can cover people, it can cover tools, technology, and all of that. But very crudely put, let's say you're a manufacturing organization. You have your own manufacturing process, you may interact with the vendor, you may procure material from someone. So these are all multiple steps. Or if you break down your complete operations, let's say you have 20 steps in the overall manufacturing process. Now in each of the step, how can I improve? This improvement can be in terms of, let's say, time. How quickly can I complete this particular step? Or it can be in terms of cost. How can I reduce the overall cost of this particular step? And if you are able to analyze and embark on initiatives that will overall increase the efficiency of your organization, these digital tools, this approach is as simple as, I mean, this is the digital transformation initiative. This looks very commonsensical, right? I mean, all of us know that for me to improve, I need to put the right tools to use. I need to take up digital transformation initiatives, relook at how I run, and improve my processes and capabilities. But what is the reality? So this is a survey by McKinsey that was released last year. So more than 1,300 organizations were surveyed, and 80% of the organizations said, yes, we have taken a digital transformation initiative. In the last 5 years, yes, we have taken a digital transformation initiative. How many do you think would have succeeded? I'll give you 5 seconds to take a guess. Of these 1,300 companies, how many do you think would have succeeded in these digital transformation initiatives? These are the numbers. Less than 20% say they have been successful. And more important to notice, even in this success, in the overall scheme of things, traditional industries are 4 to 11%, and tech savvy industries are 26%. Let's say e-com, right? The industry is already slightly ahead in terms of the digital adoption curve. So they are seeing a 26% sort of a success rate, but traditional industries are seeing only 4 to 11% sort of a success rate. So the average is around 20%, but if you see, traditional industries are still between 4 to 11%. So why is this happening? See, we are seeing two things here. On one hand, we are realizing that yes, for my organization, digital transformation is important. I should implement digital tools. I should look at increasing my process/efficiency. But on the other hand, we are also seeing it is not actually translating into results. That is not how things are working in reality. So why is this happening? Very important thing to note. I would request your attention on this slide is what happens when an organization starts a digital transformation initiative. Typically, you look at your process, you say these are the tools I want, these are the capabilities can be simple application to, let's say, an IoT support, artificial intelligence, machine language, based on where you are already. So you would come up with multiple requirements, the businesses come up with multiple requirements, the teams, and then finally it all boils down to the IT team to deliver those requirements, right? Which is what is creating a major friction in organizations. If you see this survey here, the chart on the right, it clearly says that this is a Zoho internal survey that we did to a select set of our customers. So more than 25%, the last couple, 10% and 15% that you see there, these organizations say we already have either 50 plus applications in backlog or even 100 plus applications in backlog. Now I'm a large organization. I work with multiple teams. I already have multiple applications that are pending for delivery. And then suddenly there is another requirement now as a part of digital transformation initiative saying, okay, I need these additional tools. This puts tremendous pressure on the IT system. And finally, the digital transformation initiatives never see the day. That's what happens in reality. So two things to note here is one, the application backlog. Second, the dependency on the IT team. Let's say you are a 500 employee organization and you have a IT team of, let's say, 20 people, 10 people. Imagine a scenario where not just that 20 can deliver applications, but there is a large pool. Let's say 100 people in your organization can build applications, but under the guardrail, under the monitoring of IT teams. Or IT team can pick and choose saying, okay, these are some applications that we will build. These are some applications that these additional business teams, when I say business teams, this can be operations teams or HR, legal, anyone for that matter. How are they able to imagine a scenario if they are able to build applications, right? So that is what we are trying to do here. So low code as a concept enables organizations to build applications faster. It enables everybody, not just IT folks, it enables everybody to build applications. So as you can see in this chart, these are the two major benefits. So your dependency on your technical team in a way comes down. They will still have control in terms of monitoring and putting guardrails, but there is a larger chunk of people who can deliver applications, and the application rollouts is faster. Low code enables, as the name suggests, with lesser code, you can build applications. Sometimes if it's a simple requirement or based on the use case, you can build applications without any coding. To that extent, there are certain applications where you may need some minimal coding, but whatever be the requirement, whatever be the complexity, you can build applications 10 times faster with low code. Now this is the fundamental of low code, what low code does. Now what exactly is Zoho Creator? How does Zoho Creator help in building such applications, and how does Zoho Creator help you in this digital transformation initiative? I'll take a minute to explain a short anecdote / maybe a story. There are elephants that are super powerful, right? Large, huge, powerful elephants that are chained. They have a chain around their legs, and they never try to break the chain. They're just stuck because of the chain. Why does that happen? When the elephant was young, he had a chain around his leg. He tried breaking it, but then he thought, oh, this chain is too powerful for me to even attempt to break. So he gives up after some time. He grows, but in his mind, he has decided that he can never break the chain. And that is a challenge that is relevant to many of us. How, you asked? I'll explain. You are all fantastic individuals, right? You lead your business teams, you may be entrepreneurs, you are head of departments, or you're doing some great work in your area of operations. But when it comes to technology, you feel chained, you feel shackled. you generally say, if there is a technical or technology related requirement or discussion, the common response is, oh, but this is something that my IT head has to handle. This is something that my CAO has to handle, right? So, which is a challenge. Imagine the power that someone like you who understands the business is actually able to deliver applications or is able to also handle the IT requirements, bringing in the domain knowledge. That will be the power that you can bring. So, which is Zoho Creators' vision as well. How can we empower anyone? And when we say anyone to build applications, or in other words, how can we make the lives of anyone who want to build application easier? That is all that we aspire to do. How do we do that? So when we think of an application, so what are we trying to do here? So let's say you want to build an application. Think of any use case that you have in mind in your organization, right, currently, and imagine that you want to build an application for it. What is that comes to your mind? Let's say if I think out loud, right? Okay, if I have to build an application, I need to think of how will I write the code. That is first thing that comes to my mind. Then where will I host it? Then how will I design it for mobile versus laptop versus, let's say, tablet? Will it work offline? If people don't have internet access, let's say in the floor shop, in the shop floor, how will they be able to access? What are the infrastructure requirements like that? And then finally comes my business logic thinking. Oh, this is what I want to build, and how do I build that logic? Step A, B, C, D. How do I build that? When you want to build an application, there are so much layers or so much complexity that is involved, and this complexity is not just for a non-IT person, right? It's not just for a legal head, HR head, even an IT person. I may be a fantastic coder in a specific language. I can write good front-end applications, but maybe when it comes to hosting it, I'm clueless. I'll be like, oh, this is something that I don't know. Maybe someone else has to handle, right? So anyone for that matter, let's say you're a business head, when you want to build applications, there are so many layers that are involved, right? From network, server, OS requirements, software infrastructure, and on top of that, you have the security aspects for each of this layer, how to update those, how to ensure the uptime is high. I mean, the application is available all the time. All these, and then finally comes the actual business logic. What we want to do, what actually we do, is enable you to focus only on the business logic part, which is the custom app part, and we take all the other baggage slash headache in terms of the software infra, OS, server, and other aspects. Let me explain how we do it in the slides to come, but I just want to place the thought in your mind that when you want to build an application, what is the value add that creator does? It allows me to build the business logic, and it takes care of all the other luggages around it. So that's the value add that we provide. Now how do we do it is what I will explain over the next 10 minutes. First, when you want to build application, be it at any complexity, right? If you're building a simple app that registers a visitor, to let's say a software that records your complete operations, sees your profitability and all that, whatever application that you want to build, these are the major components that you would have to think about. Starting with a form. How do you collect data? That is the basic first step, right? So that is a form. Then what do you do with the form? How do you create visual reports, charts on top of it? Then how do you create workflows? What is workflow? Very simple term. What is the business logic that needs to be acted upon on the data? Let's say the data talks about some approvals. Who needs to approve it? If the value is X, who will approve? If the value is, let's say, less than $2,000, it has to be approved by the head of the department. If the value is greater than $2,000, it has to be approved by the CEO. Those logic based on data, that is workflow. Then pages. What is pages? It's a combination of reports, your dashboards, based on your let's say requirement. If you're a CEO, you may want to look at your profitability. If you're running your business, you want to look at your employee productivity and things like that. Based on, let's say you manage a shop floor, then you want to look at what is the output of your shop floor. What are the dashboards that you need to look? Those things will come into play. So these dashboards are pages. And finally, we have intentionally kept this mobile component there because currently any application that you build, you should also think of how will it work on mobile. And when we say work on mobile, it's not just a simple, okay, provide the browser access and someone can access it. It needs to be easy to access. The relevant fields need to be present there. Maybe offline capabilities, like if someone is working in an internet constrained area, they should be able to update or work on the mobile app and when they come back to internet enabled area, the data should automatically sync. These aspects, right? This is becoming very, very critical. I'm sure all of you would agree there. So mobile has become an important part and a component of our life, to so to say. So these are aspects that we need to consider when you want to build a simple application, and which is where we come in. So I would explain how we help you do all this through Creator. And please note, all this with either no coding at all or with minimal coding. First, forms. So this is an actual screenshot of how a Creator application looks, a form looks. So let's say you want to create a survey for your employees, right? Or whatever you saw now in terms of back to work application that Hemant showed you, there were multiple fields in which you were getting inputs, right? So those fields, that is a form, right? So these, what is the value had here? Let's say you have an Excel sheet and you share it with your, let's say, team of 20 people and ask them to add some information. Each one will interpret the column in different ways, each one will input the data in different ways, and then finally there has to be a MIS coordinator or someone who has to consolidate, clean the data, and then enable you to see reports. All these things are taken care of automatically in Creator. Let's say, for example, there is a phone number field that you add to your form. You have a simple form that asks for some basic information in terms of what is your name, what's your experience, what are the technologies that you know, what's your phone number. Let's say this is a simple form that you're creating for your recruitment purpose. All this you can create just by dragging and dropping. So whatever you see on the left of the screen, which is listed under basic fields, these are the fields that are available. You just drag and drop that field, and then automatically, I mean, you can rename the field to say, let's say phone number can be renamed as mobile number and so on. And automatically the field comes with its own intelligence. What do I mean by that? If you add a phone number field, the field will only accept number inputs. When someone feeds information, it will only accept number as a value there. If there is an email field, it will only accept data that has common email logic, right? Like the email, whatever the user is filling has to have an @ symbol and a dot. You know, the email IDs are like that only. So you don't have to write any code, you don't have to write any logic for this. All these are the intelligence that the platform, the Creator platform, provides to you. So this is just a snapshot or a simple set of options that are available. There are more and more options that are available. You can explore the platform. You can just log into zoho.com/creator and try. There is a free trial for 15 days, so you can play around with the application to understand the complexity. For want of time, I'm just restricting myself to the basics of what the application can do, from basic information capture to, let's say, you're a logistics company and you want to have a mobile app where you can get e-signature. Even that is possible. You can get audio video inputs as well. There are even AI enabled, ML enabled tools which enable you to predict C output based on multiple fields that are inputted, etc., and so on. For want of time, I'm not showcasing those, but I would, if I have to leave one thought in your mind, it will be, it makes simple for you to design a data collection form, and it makes it much easier to design even complex requirements. Now, once you collect data, you want to see reports and dashboards on top of it. This is very easy to understand, right? This is intuitive. So whichever way you want to slice and dice the data based on what is your role, what sort of complexity that you want your data to talk to you, you can create dashboards like that, and again with no coding at all. This is the most interesting part, actually. So what data collection is an important component, but that is not the crux of it, right? Yes, I collect data, and that can be in different formats, different options, etc. But what do I do with the data? Let's say, what is the most commonly required workflow process in organizations? Let's say purchase approval, right? There are multiple teams that request for certain material. Let's say they raise a request saying, I want to procure a particular device. Then the user requests that with certain information. I want this 10 units, per unit cost is $100. What are the other aspects? When do I need it? And all that information. Now, based on this, you can trigger workflow logic, in the sense that, like I said earlier, if the total amount is less than, let's say, $1,000, that can be approved by the immediate head of the department. If it is more than, let's say, $5,000, it has to be approved by the CEO, or whatever logic that you want to put. Not just that. Let's say your head of department, you raise this request and your head of department approves it. Then automatically an email alert should go to your vendor saying, dear vendor, we are procuring 10 units of this particular device from you. We want it before 1st of August. the total value of this order is this. You can even attach a PDF saying this is the purchase order. Please initiate the process. There is no manual intervention here. The complete workflow logic, what are the different steps, what are the different triggers that need to be triggered based on information that is captured, is automatically created through creator's workflow. And again, very, very minimal coding. So whatever example that I spoke about now, you can do this with no coding at all. As the complexity increases, let's say you want to pull in multiple information and you want to make it more complex, there you can do it still with minimal coding. I mean, we support there is an own language that we have called Deluge, and I'm sure many of you would be aware of it. So Deluge supports you in making or handling certain complex requirement, but basic use cases can be handled even without any lines of code. Now, this is one important aspect. If you look at this slide integration and think, okay, maybe this is something that an IT team needs to know, or maybe this is just a tick mark here. Definitely, that's not the case. Why this is important is because the applications that you build, what we have seen, I mean, I'm going to take you through one case study, a user, Aboitis, who uses our solution. So there you will realize that platforms like this, when you attend this session, you at the back of your mind you'll be like, oh, looks interesting, let me try. Then you start trying with some basic use case, very simple requirement. Then you get a comfort of how the solution works. You believe that, okay, you start to believe that, okay, this is good, I can make use of this for my needs. Then you start building complex applications, which is where these integrations will come into play. If the solution just supports the basic application building and it is not allowing you to integrate with other applications, then you may not be able to make, or you may not be able to get the full potential of Creator, which is why we are consistently working on building more and more integrations. Currently we have 420 plus multiple applications, both in Zoho ecosystem as well as products outside Zoho, to which we integrate with, let's say, for example, including Zoho CRM or even a Salesforce CRM. So how is this important is, let's say you are collecting some information, you are triggering some workflows, and based on that you want to feed information back into, let's say, your Zoho CRM system. That is natively possible with simple visual connectors. You can get these done. So some of the commonly used examples are listed there in terms of native integration with payment gateways, logistics service providers, multiple authentication services, and different business apps as well. So this is possible with Creator. And another important benefit, which I stressed upon initially when I showed that fancy slide with multiple components, right? Mobile aspect. When you build an application for your use case in Creator, it becomes readily available as a mobile app as well. And when we say mobile app, it's a native mobile app. So any application that you build, you can use it in your, let's say, tablet or laptop / desktop, or even in mobile. And we have the industry first one-click deployment model. Very simply put, if I demystify that, like the application that you build using your let's say that you build on your web browser, you don't have to do any additional work to get that done as a mobile app. It becomes readily available as a mobile app. Obviously you can customize. You can say that in my web browser, when the application is rendered on a web browser, I want to see let's say 10 different fields, but on mobile I just want to see 2 fields. So or whatever customizations that you want to meet. I mean, let's say you're enabling this mobile app to be used by your warehouse person, and you want to put a geofencing restriction there saying this app should work only in a particular distance, like X miles or kilometers from this thing. So those sort of customizations are also possible. So you are not, I mean, we actually take the headache of you thinking about how to build the app for, let's say, a tablet / mobile and all that. All of that is also readily available with Creator. This will be my last slide on the Creator part to make the adoption easier. So okay, I understand what this is about. Very crudely put, okay, this is like a flow chart, but when I build a flow chart, automatically the business logic also gets created. It's not just a visual flow chart, it's a visual deployment model to build application, visual development model to build application. Yes, correct, you're correct. But where do I start is where we have these app deck apps, where these are pre-built applications. You can call them templates. You can start with using them. So you can just download one of these and see what is the comfort level that you get, how are you able to use the application, and you can make edits. So the major difference is, like I said earlier, right? creator values your uniqueness. You are successful because you do something different in your work, right? It could be the way you operate, it could be the model that you follow, but your software solution should respect that uniqueness. And that is possible if you can build custom applications that are tailor made, that are suited for your style of operations, which is where creator comes in. So let's say you download a time tracker or seat booking application from a creator's templates. You can still edit it without even coming back to us in terms of how you want it to be customized, how you want it to be tailor made for your specific organization requirements. So this is one way to start. Otherwise, you can always use creator, log into creator and try building an application from scratch on your own. Now, this is the last part of my presentation in terms of quickly touching upon a couple of, or I'll just talk about one customer success story and to give you an example of how a customer benefited through creator. Where are we currently in terms of adoption? Creator as a product is used by 10,000 plus customers. In fact, currently we are around 13,500 customers, which is paying organizations who use our solution. 6 million plus applications have been built on top of creator, and these applications vary from a simple one-click application, let's say to a vendor management, visitor management sort of an application, to a complex ERP level applications as well. So there are organizations who have built their complete operations through creator. So that's the range that we see. Overall, we have 6 million plus 6 million applications that have been built on top of Zoho Creator, used across 170 plus countries. Some of the common well-known brands are listed there for your reference, but I would spend the next 2 to 3 minutes or maybe 3 minutes on this specific case study, which is Aboitiz, a conglomerate based in Philippines. They are a large player, 8 billion in assets and 3,800 employees as we speak, 3,600 plus definitely. They operate in multiple verticals: consumer goods, utilities, and finance. I'm sure many of you from the Philippines/Singapore market will definitely connect with this brand. So what made them start Creator is they were running a CSR initiative, multiple CSR initiatives. What is CSR initiative? Is corporate social responsibility. As a part of their business, whatever profit they made, they were spending a significant sum of it, almost 300 million, in terms of giving it back to the society, running multiple giving it back to society sort of initiatives, corporate social responsibility initiatives. They realized that they are getting into more and more projects, 200 plus projects when they approached Creator, and they were not able to handle, or they didn't have that level of control that they initially had. And they were relying on IT for their application, but obviously IT was focusing on the core business needs, and they were not able to spend time for building applications for this CSR project initiative. So you can understand, right? It was a total logistical nightmare, and there were a lot of challenges that they faced, and they evaluated multiple low-code solutions. So they understood that can the CSR team handle the applications on their own? So they evaluated multiple low-code solutions and then decided to go ahead with Creator, primarily because one of our major USPs is I would say we are very easy to use. That's a major differentiator. So Aboitiz went ahead with Creator, and in 2 months they were able to build a full-fledged CSR application that handled multiple requirements. So right from budget planning, integrations, and all those requirements that were taken care of. But it is not interesting because of this. The most interesting part is the next slide. After they understood the power of the platform, they started to build more and more applications, right from their parking management to applications that handle their finances, the core business requirements. They started building more and more applications, and currently as we speak they have 45 plus 46 applications, and multiple business requirements have been centralized. There is a central IT guardrail that empowers different business users, citizen developers to build their own application. And this is the quote from the Aboitiz team itself. They were able to save more than $670K in annual savings through Creator. I'm just sharing one another quote from our user. Over 40 applications were built by employees with the help of central IT department. I mean, this marriage is what makes it more interesting, right? There is the employees, the business employees are empowered, and at the same time, central IT team is able to have that control in some sense, and then that guardrail enables the organization to flourish. And Zoho Creator brings the agility and speed to digital transformation. And quite interestingly, Aboitiz uses this term for their people who build applications on Creator. They call it digital army. That is what actually happens, right? When multiple people are empowered to build applications, they are able to add value to the organization. So I would say, I mean, if I have to connect with my elephant slide at the first, let the elephants be powerful, let the elephants be happy. That's it. Thank you so much. Please drop in your questions at the questions window. Over to you, Ku.
And I have a question which I want to read out by a guest. Where can I download or trial the Back-to-Work app?
Let me take that then. So Back-to-Work application will get launched on August 4th. In fact, what we can do currently is you would have our email IDs, or you can, I mean, the next slide you will see our email IDs. If you can drop a note to us, we will directly email you the link to download the application. Or very simply put, when the thank you email or the recording of this session is shared with you, you can reply to that email and we can give you access to the application. Just to reiterate the commercial aspects of the application, because I saw that as a question, the Back-to-Work application is free for use till end of this year, till December 31, 2020. There are no restrictions in terms of use. You can use it completely for free. There are no terms and conditions there. After December 31st, there will be charges of, as in Jan 1st, 2021, the charges will be $2 to US dollars per user per month. So that's the pricing after from 2021. For now, the application is completely free for use. So you can just drop us a mail at support@zohocreator.com, or you can reply to the thank you emails that you will get after the session, and we will give you access to download the application.
Thank you, Pratik. And we also have another question regarding the wellness score for the app. So the guest asked, can the admin set their own criteria based on their countries and business norms?
So, with respect to the wellness score or the criteria is available on Back-to-Work, by default, Back-to-Work is restricted on the criteria that you can get. So with respect to the wellness criteria, as you were saying, the criteria or the factors that involve wellness score are predefined within Zoho Back-to-Work. But again, as we mentioned, Zoho Back-to-Work will be available for customization as well. Because since it's built on top of the creator platform, yes, it's available for customization. So be it customizing the existing flow of Zoho Back-to-Work, or even extending the actual use case of Back-to-Work to meet your organization's requirement, definitely can be done. So when we go to the admin screen at the right top, you'll have an option to raise a request for customization. So you just have to submit a request on case-by-case basis. We understand the requirement and we try to enable the edit mode, or also loop in with one of our partners to help you out with the customization as well.
Thank you, Heyman. There's also a question
In
by...
Oh, sorry. I just want to add
Yeah,
one important
sure.
point
Yeah.
to Hemant's answer. So, for users, so like Hemant explained, if you have a customization request, it will get connected to a partner, and there will be charges there. So, I just wanted to update that in upfront. While the application is free, if you're requesting for customization, our partners may charge request for a charge in terms of the customization effort alone. For the usage of application, there are no charges. This is one way to go about it. Second, if you're getting a hang of the creator application, you can directly purchase creator application itself. That is another way if you want to look at it as a long-term investment. And when you purchase creator application, you will be able to edit the application, make customization yourself. So these are two ways to go about the customization.
So this is the summary for today's session. So this is the first part for Pratik's session about key things to remember before resuming operations, such as the safety and the well-being of your team. And for the second presentation, we have a demo of the Back-to-Work app. And we have a Bharat to round things up. And we understand that Zoho Creator is a low-code platform to build custom mobile and web applications. So remember that we are technologically more powerful than we really think. And we are not at the end of our session. So we have two more upcoming events, which is part of this Back-to-Work Readiness series. So on the 6th of August, happening at 2 to 4 p.m., we have corporate communications powered by Zoho Workplace. And we have the foundation of multi-channel sales and support powered by Zoho CRM, Zoho Sites, Sales IQ, and Zoho Desk and Subscription. So this is going to happen 2 to 4:45. So for product clarifications, please email us at support@zohocreator.com. And if you want to know more about our events, you can always email us at onlineevents-apac@zohocorp.com. Thank you to all the attendees once again for staying with us.